So let's jump right into that. Oh, actually, I have like 45 seconds of other stuff. The technical director thing. We started with Mislintat possibly up for the job and then decided he wasn't good. Then we moved on to Monchi. We all hate Monchi now. Latest links have us linked to Edu to start in July. The names keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, James, was fucking Demba Ba not available? How short do we need to go here? What do you think about Edu, James?
I feel like the only thing that makes me hesitate a little bit on it is that he has that association with Arsenal, and I just hope that that's not a big criteria, because to me it sort of shouldn't really matter. You know, when I look at Man United and they're talking about hiring Rio Ferdinand for that role, I think that's crazy. You know, just get the best qualified person. And if Edu has impressed sufficiently in his interviews and all that, then great. But the fact that he's an Arsenal guy, that doesn't really make any difference to me.
Allows you to possibly ruin your legacy.
Yeah, I mean, my only slight concern is I kind of hope Emery hasn't been that involved. I sort of feel like it was always a bit problematic that Arsene Wenger was one of the people who interviewed Ivan Gazidis. I always felt that created a bit of a strange hierarchy within the club. And I think in an ideal world, your technical director should be the man appointing your coach, not the other way around. So I'm a little bit uneasy about how it's all come about. But look, let's hope Eddie does a good job.
Yeah, and
Mike, just to throw in a thought. So Drew Thompson, a good friend of ours, is doing an article for a piece, and he asked me if I would give him a quick synopsis of how Josh is running the Avalanche and the Nuggets. And I'm not a huge Nuggets fan, but there is one correlation for both. He's hired people in roles that know the sport. And so Joe Sakic, obviously being the vice president of hockey operations, obviously he would be like the Thierry Henry for the Avalanche, right? So at the end of the day, I think that putting people into jobs that know the sport is a smart thing. I'm nervous that, again, it's this association with Arsenal. Does he have the background to do this role? Does he have the experience? I don't want to just bring in someone who's never done it before just because of the sake. And why would we do that when it could have been Mark Overmars or someone with a bigger name that's been in a like position? What I will say is that I think that's the one thing Josh has done well with other teams, and those teams are starting to win because you're starting to put people into positions who understand what it takes to do that role. If you look at Manchester United with Ed Woodward, he's more of a revenue money guy. He doesn't understand football. So he goes out and buys the players that are going to sell shirts. He puts names on the back that are going to sell shirts. I guarantee you Pogba would never have been sanctioned if there was a person in the role that understood football and had the opportunity to sit with the manager and go, does this make our team better? Because there's that variable of, are we just trying to sign shirts? Because we owned this guy 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and now we're going to pay how much for him? That just doesn't make sense. There are other players you could buy that could do what he does on the pitch and doesn't bring the ego and attitude. So I'm under hey, if he can do the job and he knows the football side of the business, let's let him run with it. And at the end of the day, we only have 2 more years left of Unai unless he gets extended, so you can just cut your losses as you go. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting kind of couple months, see what happens.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating. What I also found fascinating, I was cruising through some Premier League stats last night, and there were 12 players that played every single minute of all 38 Premier League games of the season, and only 9 of them were goalkeepers. Wow. I could not believe there was anybody that played all whatever it is. Do
you remember some of the names?
Yeah. 2 of them were defenders. Wolves' Connor Cody, pretty impressive defender, team captain, I believe. And ex-Arsenal manager Bertie Mee's grandson, Ben Mee, from Burnley, who was partially responsible for our first goal yesterday. And no, they're not related. And then a midfielder, which I found amazing. I could believe that defenders did it, but that it was rare. Luka Milojevic, the guy they always told us from Palace.
Palace guy.
as a midfielder, played every minute of every single game in the Premier League, even without Champions League or Europa League football, even without deep runs in any cups. That is impressive AF.
Yeah.
And next on the list, missing only 8 minutes of the whole season, Nathan Aki. He's a guy I got my eyes on. Grab him unless he's like 23 going on 40 from playing every minute of the Premier League this season. But anyway.